Two men retire the same year. Same age, 65. Same $1 million. The same portfolio holding the same funds, earning, and this is the part that should bother you, the exact same average return over the next 25 years. Not close. Identical, down to the decimal. One of them dies with $3.5 million he never spent. The other runs out of money at 89 and spends his last years watching the account he built his whole life drain to zero. Same million, same funds, same average, and a gap of $3.7 million between them. Everything you've been taught about retirement points you at the wrong number. You've been told to chase a balance, hit your million, hit your average return, and you're safe. But the balance and the average are not what decide this. There's a single 5-year window that quietly settles whether your money outlives you or you outlive it. And by the time it shows up on a statement, the outcome is already locked. I'm not going to ask you to take that on faith. We're going to run it, dollar by dollar, on 25 years of real market returns. And by the end, you'll be able to spot the window on a calendar before you ever retire into it. Here is the rule underneath the whole story, and it sounds almost too simple to matter. While you're saving, the order of your returns is irrelevant. Once you start spending, the order of your returns is everything. Think about the years you were building the account. A good year followed by a bad year, or the bad one first, it makes no difference at all. You weren't taking anything out, so the market could hand you its returns in any sequence it liked and you'd land on the exact same balance. Multiplication doesn't care about order. Retirement flips that. The day you start pulling an income out of the portfolio, you introduce something the math can't undo. You're now selling shares in years the market is falling. And a dollar you take out during a crash isn't just spent, it's gone before it ever gets the chance to recover. It never participates in the rebound. That's why the average return can be a lie. Two retirees can post the identical average, the same 9.36% a year, the same 7.70% compounded over the full stretch, and end up in completely different worlds. The average tells you what the market did. It tells you nothing about when it did it. And when is the only thing your withdrawals can't survive getting wrong. So let's build two men who are the same man in every way that's supposed to matter. Marcus and Dave, both 65. Both walk into retirement on the same day with $1 million, invested exactly the same way. They even plan to spend the same, $40,000 in year one. That's the classic 4%. And each year after, they give themselves a 3% raise to keep up with the cost of living. Same starting balance, same withdrawal, same raises, same funds. And here's the constraint I want you to hold on to. Over the 25 years each man is retired, they earn the identical set of returns. Not similar, the same 25 numbers. Every good year Marcus gets, Dave gets too. Every crash Dave lives through, Marcus lives through as well. There is exactly one difference between them. And it's not a decision either one made. It's the order those 25 years arrive in. Marcus gets his in one sequence. Dave gets the very same years handed to him in the opposite order, because he happened to retire into a different part of the cycle. That's it. That's the whole experiment. One variable, and it's the one neither of them chose. Right now, on day one, their statements are identical, and they feel equally safe. Only one of them is right too. Let's start the clock and just watch the first few years, because that's where this is decided. Dave retires into a falling market. His first year, the market gives back 9%. He still takes his $40,000. He has to, he's retired, so he's selling into the drop. Year 2, it falls almost 12% more. Year 3, it drops 22%. 3 years in, Dave has pulled out 3 years of income and absorbed 3 straight declines. His million is down to about $537,000. Nearly half of it, gone in 36 months. Now Marcus. Same man, same $40,000 withdrawal, but his 25 years arrive in the other order, and they open with 2 of the best years the market had, up 25%, then up 26%. He's taking the same income out, but he's taking it from a portfolio that's climbing. 3 years in, Marcus isn't down. He's up, sitting on about $1,164,000. Stretch it to 5 years and the split stops being a gap and becomes a canyon. Across his first 5 years, the market handed Dave a cumulative return of negative 11%. Marcus, over his first 5, collected a cumulative 97%. Same 5 years. Opposite order. Dave's balance sits around $655,000. Marcus is at $1.5 million and pulling away. Neither man has done anything wrong. Neither changed his spending. They are 5 years in, and the ending is already written. Most people just can't read it yet. Underneath the balances, here's what's physically happening to Dave, and it has nothing to do with luck running out. When you retire, you don't withdraw dollars. You withdraw shares. To hand himself that 40,000 in a down year, Dave has to sell a chunk of his portfolio. And because prices have fallen, each share is worth less, so he has to sell more of them to raise the same 40 grand. He's liquidating extra shares at the worst possible price, right at the bottom. Those shares are now permanently off his ledger. When the recovery finally comes, and it does come, it arrives for everyone who was still holding. Dave isn't. He already sold them to eat. That's the trap the order sets. A bad early stretch doesn't just dent the balance, it shrinks the base that every future good year has to grow. Marcus's rebounds land on $1.5 million. Dave's identical rebounds, the same percentage gains, remember, land on a balance that's already been hollowed out, so the same percentage buys back far fewer dollars. Both men eventually get every good year. Dave just gets his applied to a smaller and smaller pile. The market treated them exactly the same. The timing did not. Now let the tape run to the end, because the middle years are where this gets quietly cruel. 10 years in, Dave still has money, about $427,000. If you handed him that statement, he might even feel okay. He's a decade into retirement, there's still a balance. The market's been rising for years. What he can't see is that his portfolio never rebuilt its base, and the raises he keeps giving himself are now being pulled from a pile that can't refill. Marcus, at that same 10-year mark, is sitting on $2.5 million. By year 20, the distance is almost obscene. Dave is down to $215,000 and falling fast. Marcus is at $4.5 million and still climbing. Same funds, same withdrawals, same average return the whole way. One variable. And then Dave's account hits zero in year 24. 1 year short of the 25 he needed. Marcus finishes with $3.7 million he'll never spend. Here's the part I want to sit with honestly. Dave's retirement didn't fail in year 24. It failed in year 3, in silence, while everything still looked survivable. The zero at the end was just the paperwork catching up to a decision the calendar made for him 2 decades earlier. Let me be straight about what this experiment is and isn't, because the honesty is the whole point. Marcus's timeline is a device. I took 25 real years of market returns and ran them for Dave in the order they actually happened, then handed Marcus the very same years in reverse. That's a legitimate way to isolate the one variable. It's the same market, mathematically identical on average, but no real person literally lived Marcus's sequence. I'm not going to dress up a reversed calendar as a prophecy. And notice what neither man got to do. Choose. Dave didn't earn his outcome by being reckless, and Marcus didn't earn his by being wise. The only thing that separated them was the year they happened to turn 65, which is to say, nothing they controlled at all. Which brings me to the rule everyone quotes, 4%. Watch it break, run Dave's bad luck sequence, and 4% was already too much. The most he could have safely started with was about $39,000, a 3.9% rate. Cross that line by a rounding error, and he runs dry. But hand someone Marcus's good start, and the same portfolio would have carried an initial withdrawal of $97,000, nearly 10%, for the full 25 years. There is no single safe withdrawal rate. There's only a safe rate for the sequence you happen to get, and you don't find out which one you got until it's far too late to change it. So if you can't control the sequence you retire into, what can you actually do? 3 things, and you can run the checklist in about 30 seconds. 1. Hold your first few years of spending in cash and short-term bonds, not in stocks. 2 or 3 years of income, set aside. That's the money you live on when the market opens against you, so you're never forced to sell shares into a drop the way Dave was. 2. Make your withdrawals flexible instead of fixed. In a down year, skip the raise or trim the draw a little. A retiree who simply didn't give himself a raise after a bad year buys back most of the safety margin that a fixed 4% throws away. And 3. Mark the calendar. The 5 years on either side of your retirement date are the highest risk window of your entire financial life. Treat that stretch as the red zone, and get conservative going into it, not after. Because here's what the whole story comes down to. It was never the average. It was the first 5 years. Marcus and Dave earned the exact same return over 25 years, but Dave retired into the wrong 5, and that window, not the market, is what emptied the account. If you want to see where your own red zone falls, the sequence risk calculator is in the Wealth Logician's vault, linked below. Plug in your number and it'll show you the 5 years that matter most. Give this a like if it changed which number you'll be watching, and subscribe, because next time we're running the math on the 4% rule itself, and whether it survives contact with a real portfolio.